Alright guys, back with another video. We're going to do the Pittsburgh Pirates, continuing on with the NL Central. This one is going to be a little different. We're going to do the hitters first. Pirates are a weird team. They're kind of a mix of some younger players, some older players. They got some really good prospects coming up. I'll get into them in a little bit. They're one of the teams that are going to be in the bottom of the league, but there is some value to be had. So let's dive right into the hitters. Starling Marte is probably the top of the bunch. He's probably the true elite guy that is on the team. He's probably going to be drafted in the first 5 rounds of most drafts. Last year, he hit 20 home runs, had 72 RBIs, he hit 277, and had 33 stolen bases. So that's basically what makes him so valuable, is he checks all the boxes for all the categories in fantasy baseball. So he's a plug-and-play guy, pretty much all formats, pretty much, all scoring and stuff like that. After that, the drop-off is severe. You're probably not going to have any other hitter taken in the first 10, 11 rounds of the draft. So you definitely want to tread carefully when it comes to some of these guys. Corey Dickerson is a guy I happen to like. He doesn't hit for a ton of power. He only had 13 home runs last year, but the guy's a 300 hitter. So his on-base percentage is going to be up there as well. So, and then he chips in double digits in home runs, and he can even steal if he bags. He had 8 stolen bases last year, so he can get you almost double digits in steals. So that makes him pretty valuable, and a good value play in the mid-rounds of a draft. If you're in the 12th, 13th round of a draft, and he's still out there, feel free to go ahead and click on him. Same kind of thing with Josh Bell and Gregory Polanco. Polanco has more power, so he's kind of the more valuable guy. He had 23 home runs, 81 RBIs. He batted .254. He stole 12 bags. So, he's got some use. He had a PED issue last year or the year before. So, you always got to be careful, guys like that, because if they have one PED issue, there's a chance that they could have another one. Josh Bell, he's probably going to be on most people's bench if he's drafted at all. 12 home runs, 2 stolen bases, 261 average. So he doesn't hit for a lot of power, he doesn't hit for average, and he doesn't steal bags. To me, that's basically fantasy no man's land. You're not going to be rostering him. Francisco Cervelli as a catcher should be rostered in most leagues. He's a 260 hitter. He's going to put you double digit in home runs. Had some injury issues the last couple years. If you get him, this is a term that is more used in football leagues, but a handcuff, where you want to make sure you draft the guy's backup. And in this league, with this team, I would absolutely recommend that, because his backup is Elias Diaz. And last year in only 82 games, he only had 250 at-bats. The guy hit 10 home runs and hit 286. So if he gets more playing time, he could really be fantasy valuable. I have him in a lot of leagues, sitting on my bench and either waiting for Cervelli to get hurt or get traded because he's on the last year of his contract too. So there's a good chance he could get moved. Other than that, you have Adam Frazier, who they're hoping can figure it out. He hit 10 home runs last year and hit 277. He's 27 years old. So, if he hasn't figured it out yet, he may not. So, this is probably his last chance. Jung Ho Kang is back. He had visa issues. He had a lot of DUI problems in his home country, back in South Korea. So he's 31 years old, but the last year he played, let's take a look. In 2016, he hit 20 home runs with 62 RBIs. and he got on base at a 354 clip. So if he's back and looks to be anything near what he was, he could be valuable in quite a few leagues. He probably will render Josh Bell useless because he will probably take a lot of the at-bats that Josh Bell got last year at third base. Other than the prospects that I think are going to be on the team this year, which we'll get into in a little bit, that's really it for offense. Pitching, they have a couple of good pitchers. Jameson Taillon is pretty good. I have him in a couple of leagues. I actually have him in the league that I'm looking at right here. He pitched 32 games last year, which is great. That's what you want to see every fifth day. Out of 32 starts, 20 of them were quality starts, and he had 14 wins on a pretty bad Pirates team. So he's got good value. Now, he lacks a little bit in strikeouts, not that much. It's really close. He threw 191 innings last year and struck out 179 guys. I mean, it's probably like a 8.5, 8.6 K per 9. So, I mean, it's a little light, but, on that team, he's probably not pushing for strikeouts. He's probably just pushing to keep the ball in play and let the defense do what they got to do. His ERA is a 3.2, and his WHIP is a 1.178. And anytime you get under 1.2, it's really good. So definitely like him. Along those same lines, Trevor Williams, who you can really get some great value here. Let me see if I can flip this around. No, I can't. So I'm going to just bring you around so you can see what I'm looking at here. If you can see where it says ADP, the first one is Jameson Taillon, and the fifth one is Trevor Williams. And Jameson Taillon's getting drafted 65th overall, so he's getting drafted in like the middle of the fifth round, where Trevor Williams is getting drafted 256. So you're looking at 11th, 12th round, and their stats are almost identical. Trevor Williams had 31 starts last year with 17 quality starts and 14 wins. I think the only reason why his ERA was 3.11 and his WHIP is 1.178, so almost identical there. The reason why Trevor Williams is getting drafted so much further back than Jameson Taillon is his strikeouts. He pitched 170.2 innings last year and only struck out 126 guys. So, I mean, that is the reason for the discrepancy in the draft. And that basically drops him 15 rounds. But there again is value, because if you already have a couple of high strikeout guys and you're just looking for quality starts, wins, ERA, and WHIP, Trevor Williams doesn't get much better than that. So, I mean, he's definitely a guy. He's going to lack you in strikeouts, but he's going to check your boxes in 4 out of the main 6 categories for pitching. So I definitely like him. He's actually a breakout candidate for me for this year. I mean, the guy is only, 26? Yeah, he's 26 years old. He's built like a horse. He's 6'3", he's 230 pounds. So he should be durable, hopefully. And I think if he could bring that K total up to about 150, 160 per year, he's gonna make a jump in fantasy value big time. Other than that, Chris Archer, solid pitcher, strikes out a lot of guys. Control issues. Last year, his strike-to-walk ratio was 162 to 49. I mean, it's not bad. It's over 3 to 1, but I'd like to see that walk total come down a little bit more, or the strikeout total come up a little bit more to make a little bit more of a discrepancy. Now, that was only in 148 and a third innings, so the strikeout total is exactly where you want it to be. I mean, that's 10. I mean, that's like almost a 10 K per 9. So, I mean, that's good. That's, it's right in that second, third tier of pitcher. Now, his ERA was a little lacking last year, 4.31. His WHIP was 1.375. I'd like to see those numbers come down, but he did pitch quite a bit of the year in the American League, where they have the DH. So that could be a reason for that. Excuse me. Getting a little late. So having said that, there's really not much else there. Felipe Vasquez is a good closer candidate. He pitched 70 innings last year. He struck out 89 guys and had 37 saves with an ERA of 2.7 and a WHIP of 1.243. So that's good. That's really good if you're gonna look for closers. Once a couple of the top guys come off the board, he's definitely a guy you should be looking for because, like I've said before, even on a bad team, guys are gonna get their save chances. So that's definitely a guy you need to look for. Moving on to the prospects, led by Mitch Keller. He is the number one prospect for the Pirates. He is the number 19 overall prospect in baseball, and he's the number 4 right-handed pitcher prospect. With him, his stuff is really good. He's got 3 average or above pitches. He's got a fastball that tops out at 97, 98. Normally sitting around 93, 96. He's got a really good 11 to 5 curveball. His changeup is getting there, but it's not where it should be. If he can get his changeup where it should be, he's going to definitely take a jump in value. And his value is not bad to begin with. I mean, he pitched 142 in the third innings last year, struck out 135 guys. So really close to where you want to see. He walked 55. That I want to see come down a little bit. His control is really going to be what dictates how successful and how fast he's going to be successful in the major leagues. So that's where I have him. I think he's going to debut this year. So he's a guy in redraft leagues that you definitely want to keep an eye on. If you can put him on your bench, it might be a good idea. Or if you want to, look for him later on as a midseason pickup, that's something you definitely want to keep an eye on. Along with him debuting this year, you're also going to see Cabrian Hayes, who's a third base prospect for them. The guy can just flat out hit. Last year in Double-A, he hit 293, got on base at a 375 clip. That means 3 out of every 8 times he comes up to bat, the guy's getting on base. That's really good. He stole 12 bags. He hit 7 home runs. His extra base hits, if I do some quick math, 45 extra base hits out of 128 hits total. So there you go. There's that over a third again. You're hoping that as he grows into his body a little bit, he's 22 years old, he could still put on a little bit of bulk. That those those doubles become home runs. Another guy who's going to debut this year is going to be Kevin Kramer. He is their number 6 prospect. He's a second base prospect. He is really, really good. He had 53 extra base hits last year out of 148 hits total. 15 of those being home runs, 13 stolen bases. He hits 311 with an on-base percentage of 365. If he can put up those numbers right now in the National League at second base, he's an all-star. So that's someone that if you're in a keeper league, if you're in a dynasty league and he's available, you want to draft him really high. Cole Tucker is a shortstop prospect. He could debut this year. He looks to me to be more of like a utility infielder type guy because he's not got a great bat. He only bats .259. His on-base percentage is .333. So he's getting on base. His greatest ability is when he gets on base, he steals bases. He stole 35 bags last year in Double-A, which is really impressive. But that to me just screams utility infielder, late innings, pinch hitter, try to get something going, stuff like that. Maybe a shift to the outfield eventually might come for him. So we'll have to see what happens with him. Maybe they shift a kid like Kramer to first base because Hayes is going to be the shortstop. Hayes is going to be the third baseman. They're saying Cole Tucker's going to be a shortstop, but then they also got this kid, Kevin Newman, who's a middle infield prospect, and he last year hit 302 with a 350 on base percentage and 28 stolen bases. Now he only hit 4 home runs, so I mean one of the two of those guys, Newman or Cole Tucker, is probably going to be a utility infielder or move to first base or the outfield to start every day. So, but they have some really good prospects, and they have a kid they drafted this past year, Travis Swaggerty. He's a outfielder, and in the New York Penn League, he had 139 at bats. He had 4 home runs. He got on base 365, 288 batting average, and 9 stolen bases. So he's going to be coming pretty quickly. So you definitely are going to see him within the next few years as well. They have him projected to be there in 2021. All right, so that's pretty much it on the Pirates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video, and then I'll start another one with the Cardinals, and then that will wrap up the NL Central, and then tomorrow I'll probably get started on the NL West. All right, so as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all your stuff for me, and I will be back in just a little bit.